Welcome to the Dr. Francavilla Show. I'm your host, Dr. Carolyn Francavilla, board-certified family physician and diplomate with the American Board of Obesity Medicine. I've been helping patients lose weight to treat and prevent medical problems for the last 10 years, and I'm taking what I've learned from them to you. In this podcast, you will learn the science behind why you struggle with your weight and what to do about it, tips for common challenges, work to fight bias about what a healthy weight really is, and improve your relationship with food and your body. Please remember that while I'm a doctor, I'm not your doctor. This podcast is meant to be informational in nature only, not medical advice. Please seek out care from your physician for your specific needs. Okay, let's get started. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Dr. Francavilla Show. It is a cold, snowy day here in Denver, Colorado, where I am coming to you from. And so today I'm going to give you 7 tips, 7 ideas of how to get moving and stay active when it is cold out. But just because cold is the reason a lot of people aren't getting outside here today doesn't have to be your reason. Maybe it is too hot the time of year that you're listening. Maybe like we are having out in the West, or I think a lot of the world these days, it is too smoky and there's fires. And so if you are someone who likes to get your activity in by going for a walk, getting outside, taking the dogs or the kids out, gardening, and it is a time of year when those activities are not working for you, then this podcast episode is you. I have some really creative stuff in here today. So I hope that you will take a listen and get some ideas of how to keep moving. Before we get started, I want to remind you to go ahead and join my listserv on my website so you get a weekly update on what the podcast topic is. And if you don't have time to listen to the podcast, you get the highlights of what we talked about. And then you can also go to my website and get the free weight care mini guide, which is a great sort of introductory mindset refresh before you start any weight loss plan that is going to help you decide if it really is a good fit for you. So go to the website, thedrfrancavillashow.com, and check those out. All right, so let's get started today with the top 7 ways, maybe not even the top, just 7 creative ways that you can get moving if it's cold out or smoky out or hot out or whatever your reason is for not getting your exercise in outside. So before we get started, let's refresh on why movement is so important. So movement is important for all of us, for our health, regardless of weight, okay? We are all going to live longer and live better when we move more. And the goal is that we are all moving at least 150 minutes a week, which is 30 minutes, 5 days a week, if you want to break it up that way. But we get more health benefits, meaning we just live longer and live better if we get closer to 300 minutes a week. And if you are someone who has lost weight or is in the weight loss process and you're trying to keep that weight off, then we have data from the National Weight Control Registry, which shows that exercising closer to 300 minutes a week, or again, closer to an hour, 5 days a week, is going to help you keep weight off. So we exercise because it is good for all of us. We live longer and live better. And if we're trying to maintain weight, exercise is the secret sauce. And if you're like a lot of my patients, you may do a great job exercising when the weather is on your side. So in Colorado and Denver, where I'm at, that is sort of spring, summer, fall. It's usually pretty pleasant to be outside. It does get a little hot sometimes. We have been having smoke, but a lot of my patients in the summer, they will walk, they will garden, they're playing outside. And then when winter hits, it gets icy, it gets cold, and they start moving a lot less. Every year we have this discussion. So you may be in some place where it gets too hot, or maybe it's just not safe because it gets dark early out. Whatever the reason is, if you are trying to find some ways to get movement in inside, let's go through that. So the first one that I have for you is a fairly basic one, which is if walking is your regular exercise, but you can't walk outside anymore, walk indoors. And you don't have to get a treadmill. You don't have to get a gym membership. There is usually a place in your community where you can go walk inside. So that might be going to a mall. That might be going to like a Costco or a Target or a Walmart or a big grocery store. And when you go to the shopping area to walk, you have to have a different mindset. Okay. You are not there to shop. You're not there to window shop. You're not looking at things. You're just there to move. And so you might want to set a goal in terms of how many steps you get in, or just set a timer for how long you walk and you just start walking. And so you might just walk up and down the rows. And if you see something you want to get, you have to walk back there later because right now you are just on your walk. If you have a mall that's like a nice circular shape, or a path you can take, go ahead and just follow that and see how long you can walk for. You might have to do 2 or 3 laps around the walk. You might have to do 2 or 3 trips up and down the aisles. Who cares what you look like? Like, you are just there to walk. And my guess is you're going to buy something occasionally when you're there anyway. So they are happy to have you there walking, and you can just pretend you're browsing, but get your steps in. Okay. So that is the number one tip, is to just go walk indoors if walking is your routine, but it's icy out, it's too hot out, it's too smoky. Find a mall, find a shopping area where you can go walk indoors. If you are a member at, say, a rec center, or there's a rec center close to your house, some of those will also have walking paths indoors. They're usually like a quarter mile, and those can be a really nice way to move indoors too. But again, just go to a place that you normally go to shop, and that is going to be a completely free place where you can safely walk indoors and get your movement in. All right. Number two is to embrace the cold, or perhaps the heat if that's your reason. But it might be a reasonable thing to just bundle up, right? So we have dogs and they have to go on walks kind of no matter what. And so sometimes I will just put on my ski pants and my boots and my hat, and of course, a couple jackets and gloves, and just go walk anyways. And that can be actually a really beautiful, enjoyable experience in the fluffy Colorado snow here. But definitely be careful if the cold is the reason you're not going outside. If it is icy out, that can be super dangerous. So I'm always very nervous about myself and my patients slipping on ice. It is a easy way to break a bone. But if it is a safe area with groomed paths, with plowed paths, then go ahead and just bundle up and enjoy that winter wonderland out there. But if it's too hot, like, maybe you need to go early in the day or later in the day when it's dark and it's cooled off. Or maybe you also just need to adopt a different wardrobe to get that workout in the warm weather, and get on a little bit less clothing so that you're not quite as hot when you're out there. Or switch up your activity. So maybe instead of walking, you go sledding. I don't care how old you are, sledding is fun and a workout. Maybe you go someplace and go tubing or ice skating or snowshoeing and just embrace the cold. Same thing with the heat. Maybe you embrace the heat and you go to the pool and get some laps in, or just do some water walking. Maybe there's water aerobics where you're at. So maybe just time of year to switch up the activity or the way you do it to embrace the heat or the cold, whatever is keeping you from doing your regular gardening, walking, whatever your outside activity would be if the weather was appropriate. All right. Number three, I'm a little nervous to talk about because, to be honest, I don't know anything about this topic, but I have had patients that have had success with this, which is playing an active video game inside. So I know almost nothing about video games. My son has started to play them. So now I know like the names of them, but that's about it. But there are lots of active video games out there. So if you are a gamer and you don't know which ones are out there, I'm sure you can do a quick search and find them. But Nintendo Wii, that has always had a lot of physical activity options. There's lots of dance games out there. So that is definitely a way to get your heart rate up and get some movement. Ring Fit is a popular one nowadays. I keep seeing these Blaze Pods advertised, and that is not really, I guess, a video game, but it's these like little light up buttons that you put on the floor, and you do little workouts where you have to hit these light up buttons. And I think that looks kind of fun. So find some sort of active video game. Maybe you already have one. Maybe your kids have one. Maybe it's something that you need to invest in. But an active video game can be a great way to move. My patients who play some of the VR video games, the virtual reality ones, say they don't even realize, how long they're playing it for and how much movement they're getting in because they're having so much fun. So look into an active video game if that is your style. All right. Another option number four to creatively move inside would be to try a new workout program. So, again, if you are like a lot of my patients and you prefer to just naturally get movement in through gardening, walking, being outside, but the weather is not cooperating, maybe it's time to try a workout class online. A lot of these programs are really cheap to sign up for at this point, $15, $20 a month for a subscription. You may already have a subscription to one. I know when I just renewed my Apple package so I can get my Apple TV and my news and my podcasts and everything, I had Apple Fitness included in there. So if you already have a package for all the Apple products, you might have Apple Fitness included. There's lots of workouts in there. Nike Fitness is another platform. I think everyone here has heard me talk about Peloton. So you can get a bike, you can get a treadmill, you can get the Tread Plus, you can get the rower. They have all sorts of cool equipment. But they also have just an app with great at home workouts like yoga, Pilates, dance cardio, strength training, hit workouts. So lots of workouts where you don't even need any equipment or you can just use some weights. So check those out. And if you just go onto YouTube, you can find lots of exercise programs as well. So might be time to just try a home workout, whatever sounds interesting to you. Tip number five, creative ways to move inside is trying yoga or Pilates. I am a huge fan of yoga and I recommend to my patients a lot. To me, yoga is not as exciting or rewarding as doing like CrossFit or going for a run, but it makes your body feel amazing. And depending on the type of yoga you can do, it can be a really great strength training regimen, and yoga is amazing for balance. So we talk a lot about cardio fitness, getting our aerobic exercise in. So walking, running, jogging, rowing, swimming. We talk a lot about strength training. We talk about building muscle, lifting weights. But I think we forget to talk about balance. And especially as we get older, balance becomes really important. So if you think about as we get older, falling on ice, for example, or falling when we're doing something else, if we have good balance, we're much more likely to be able to catch ourselves in a safe way and prevent a fall or have a controlled fall. And then balance is going to translate to anything else you do. So if you're kind of asymmetrical, putting more weight on one side than the other, that can be hard on hips, knees, back, feet. And so when we work on balance, we can get more symmetrical, which will make things like running or walking even better, or just our general movement. So yoga can be great. There are tons of free yoga videos on YouTube. So try those out, find an instructor you like. Peloton has some great yoga videos. Lots of the virtual platforms that you would use for fitness have yoga videos. And so find a type you like. Some people like yoga that's more strength based. Some people like flow, where you're kind of doing the same movements and progressing. Some people like yin yoga, which is holding positions for a really long time and you get these really amazing stretches and release. It's like giving yourself a massage. So lots of different types, and you might experiment with that. But I really like the ones that have some balance components. I think we don't always include that in our fitness, and balance is really important to our fitness as well. All right, next way to keep moving while it is cold out, number six, if you are counting, is to move while you are watching your favorite show. So if you have a favorite Netflix show, or I'm big on Apple TV right now, I'm cruising through all the Apple TV that I missed out on a few years, or even your favorite podcast that you like to listen to, that is a great time to get some movement in. And so maybe that is getting on a treadmill that has been collecting dust at home, or an elliptical, or a bike. Or maybe that's just marching in place while you're watching the show, doing some squats, doing some push ups. Maybe you do some movement with each commercial break. But if you're finding yourself like, oh, it's cold or it's hot or I can't be outside, and you're just kind of watching a lot of TV, that can be a great time to move. Again, if you have a piece of equipment in your house that you've had for a while, you could do that. You could also get some pretty affordable fitness equipment, either used online in lots of places, or you can get like those little peddlers that you can use for your arms and you kind of rotate around and you use them for your feet. It's just kind of like a stationary bike. You just sit in a chair. And those start at really affordable prices. If you want to get a more expensive one, they might be a couple hundred, but they have some that are like $30, $40 on Amazon. And so that would be a really easy way to just get a little movement in while you're sitting in a chair, watching some TV. Because remember, the more we move, the longer we live and the better we live. And so we want to find ways to move. It is protecting our heart health, it is improving our mental health, and it's improving our fitness and how we live longer and live better. And it's improving our metabolic rate. So we've got to keep moving. So, again, even if that just means marching in place, going up and down your stairs, getting a little peddler that you can use, doing some squats, lunges, push ups, between TV shows, get that movement in. But I think the best is to just say, like, look, I'm watching this 25-minute show. I'm going to move the whole time in some way, whether that's on the elliptical treadmill, some other piece of equipment, and get that movement in while you are watching a show. All right. The last one that I thought was a fun idea, I have not tried this one either, are the rebounders. So those are those indoor trampolines. So they're like the little mini trampolines, and you can do all sorts of cardio workouts on those. And I don't know how you wouldn't have a smile on your face the whole time you're bouncing on a trampoline. And to me, this is just like a flashback from 80s childhood because we definitely had one of the like little workout trampolines that my mom had used for like aerobics in the 80s in our household. And I thought it was like an awesome toy as a kid. And I see my little daughter at her like dance class and she like loves that little trampoline. So we can always take cues from kids. They are good at moving, they have fun moving. And I don't know how jumping on a mini trampoline would not just bring a smile to your face and be a super fun workout. So they have all sorts of fitness programs that go with them. Or again, that's a movement you can do while watching a show or something in your home. But if you've been looking for some creative, fun ways to move in your house when it's maybe not a great time of year, check out that rebounder. All right. So to refresh here, we have walking indoors. So just going to a shop or a store where there's lots of space to walk inside. Maybe just moving in the cold, putting on the right equipment and having a good time outside if it's safe, or same thing in the heat. Maybe we switch up and we do some swimming, do some pool walking if it is too hot to work outside. Trying an active video game, trying an online workout program, Apple Fitness, YouTube, Peloton, trying yoga, get that balance in, moving during your favorite show, or trying a rebounder, those little indoor trampolines. So, 7 creative ways to keep moving when you are not getting outside. So, have a plan, have a backup plan, have something available because sometimes you get these weather times for weeks and weeks and you just haven't gotten your walk in or your outside time for a while. So, make sure you have a plan to get that movement in. And as a reminder, check out the website, get on there and make sure that you are on the newsletter so you get that update weekly, get the free weight care guide. And please share this podcast with someone that you love so that we can continue to improve people's health and improve people's weight. Until next week, take care.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. Francavilla Show, where we learn about all things related to weight and health. If you love this podcast, make sure to leave those 5-star reviews and share this podcast with a friend or loved one. If you have a topic about weight and health you want me to tackle, head over to the website, thedrfrancavillashow.com to submit your question. And make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss next week's episode. Take care.